just like seeing her for the first time.
Let's begin our story in a school, inside a classroom filled with the murmurs and whispers of restless students. A boy named Loon, our protagonist, suddenly woke up from the sharp and piercing scream of his teacher. His eyes opened in shock, his heart skipping a beat, and before he could even gather his thoughts, a wave of laughter erupted around him. His classmates, with mocking smiles and playful jeers, began making fun of him for dozing off yet again. The classroom air was thick with amusement, except for one corner where anger lingered. The teacher's stern face, filled with disappointment, loomed over him. The teacher scolded him harshly, his voice echoing through the room. He pointed out that Loon had done nothing but sleep during class, wasting precious time. His tone grew heavier as he reminded Loon that only a few days remained before the final exams, yet Loon still looked utterly unprepared. The words carried weight, striking Loon like hammer blows. The teacher added with a cold sneer that if Loon continued this lazy lifestyle, even if he applied to work as a construction worker, not a single company would accept him. The reason was simple. The lowest health status standard required for a construction worker was already far above Luen's level. Some of the students chuckled, their laughter blending with cruel teasing. They even joked to their teacher, telling him to just let Loon sleep, as if mocking his uselessness. Among the noise, a blonde-haired student casually exposed Luen's weakness by revealing that Lu Sheng's health status was only a pitiful number, so low that it was laughable. The teacher, holding a book tightly in one hand, sighed and shook his head with resignation. He did not see even the slightest effort from Lu Sheng. At last he waved his hand dismissively and ended the lesson. The classroom rustled with movement as students stood, ready to head home. As Loon packed his belongings in silence, a chubby student named Li Kaming, one of his few loyal friends, approached him. His round face carried a worried expression. With a concerned voice, Li Kaming asked if Loon had experienced another bad dream. Luen gave a slow nod, his eyes tired and heavy, then explained that his nightmare had been unbearably depressing. He described a neglected and abandoned field, a land where only terrifying monsters lived. In that nightmare, his mental state plummeted, dragging down his health status drastically until it reached a dangerous level. Just because of a nightmare, he lamented, he had lost so much. To recover from such a loss, he would be forced to consume a mountain of medicine and train endlessly, until he was nearly dead. Li Kaming, trying to lighten the mood, reassured him not to overthink his health status. After all, both of them shared the same fate of having low levels. They were just ordinary people, nothing more. Li Kaming suggested that it would be better to leave the task of being superheroes to the real geniuses of their world, trying to cheer him up. Li Kaming suddenly stood up with a bright grin and invited him to play a PC game together, but Loon, heavy-hearted, shook his head. He was in no mood to play. The fatigue weighed down on him too much. Lu Kaming insisted, saying he would even pay for the drinks in PC time, but Loon declined once more. His only wish at that moment was to go home and sleep. Their conversation was soon interrupted by the voice of a blue-haired student who called out to Li Kaming, asking if he would come along to play. Li Kaming waved his hand energetically and shouted back that he would join shortly. With that, the chubby friend turned back to Loon, patted his shoulder, and said goodbye. He promised they would play together next time. Loon gave a faint nod, accepting the words, and then parted ways. As he walked down the quiet street toward home, his thoughts turned bitter. Even though he had been reincarnated into this new world, he still found himself shackled by the same problems, the same exams, the same struggles. He sighed deeply. To distract himself, he decided to check the recent news displayed on the giant screen in the city center. But as his eyes scanned the glowing surface, he realized with growing disappointment that this world was not much different from the one he had come from. His thoughts were abruptly interrupted when a muscular woman passed by. She carried a massive pallet loaded with heavy boxes as though it were nothing but feathers. Loon stopped in his tracks, stunned by her raw strength. Watching her figure fade into the distance, he could not help but wonder when, if ever, he would achieve such power for himself. At home, a different scene unfolded. His father lay face down on a mat, while his mother carefully pressed a medical patch on his aching back. His father winced in pain and reminded her to be gentle, but she sighed, telling him to grit his teeth because the treatment was almost over. Soon after, Luen arrived home. His father sat up, slipping on his clothes, while asking if his son had eaten yet. His mother bustled into the kitchen, saying she would prepare dinner once Luen's younger sister returned. Concerned, Lun advised his father to buy a blood circulator apparatus. He explained that it would help circulate blood more effectively and heal waist buildup and back injuries. He even mentioned that one of his classmates had one at home, and the results were remarkable. But his father, grinning with a cigarette between his lips, waved away the advice. He boasted that he was still strong as steel, claiming his aches were nothing more than signs of aging then. As if remembering something, his father brightened and told Lun he had a gift. From under the table, he pulled out 2 bottles of recovery powder, a new product from the benevolent clinic. Luen's eyes widened in shock. He knew well that the recovery powder cost a staggering amount, hundreds of dollars. His mother chuckled softly and patted his father's back, revealing that her superior at work had allowed her to bring home some leftover porkhead meat. Then she turned to Lun with concern, asking about his health status, hoping he had finally broken through a higher level. Unknown to them, Luen's health status was still pathetically low, far beneath expectations. His mother continued, mentioning that his younger sister had already reached a health status far above his. According to the news, the passing point for the high school exam would be raised even higher. Lun nodded quietly, saying he knew, then excused himself and went straight into his room. Inside his small room, Lun wasted no time. He removed his jacket and began his training. The World Martial Alliance had recommended a technique known as the body reconstruction technique. This ancient method, based on a fusion of yoga, martial arts, and judo, had been developed by the Alliance's masters to strengthen the foundation of novice martial artists. He recalled history as he trained. 10 years ago, huge cracks had appeared in the skies and the earth, from which terrifying monsters emerged to conquer the world. Humanity's advanced weapons had proven useless, yet, out of despair, mankind discovered a hidden potential, the unlocking of a genetic lock that drastically raised human strength. Thus began the era of martial arts prosperity. Still, despite this newfound power, humanity continued to suffer great losses. Cities fell daily to monsters. The balance between survival and destruction grew thinner. Humanity was pushed further and further toward defeat. On stages across the world, leaders reminded them all that they were born into a restless world and bore the responsibility of carrying this burden. Each person who practiced martial arts did so not just for themselves, but for the survival of mankind. They were the legacy of martial arts. Lue, and pushed through 3 full sets of the body reconstruction technique, his body trembling with exhaustion. When he checked, there was still no improvement in his health status. His younger sister's, on the other hand, was soaring far above his own. His chest tightened with frustration. His parents had given everything to support him, and heaven had even given him a second chance through reincarnation, yet nothing had changed. Determined, he resolved to train harder, even to the extreme. But before he could begin again, darkness enveloped him. His vision blurred, and consciousness slipped away. When he opened his eyes, Luen was no longer in his room. He was standing in a dark, desolate field, the same haunting land from his nightmare. The silence was suffocating. He pinched his cheek, hoping to wake up, but the sting of pain proved he was trapped. Unbeknownst to him, a shadow loomed behind. A dark figure crept closer, ready to finish him. Luen turned his head suddenly and his blood ran cold. It was a zombie. The creature lunged at him with unnatural speed. Lun stumbled, crashing to the ground as the zombie's jaws snapped dangerously close. He rolled aside, narrowly avoiding the bite, then kicked the monster hard in the chest. The impact sent it stumbling backward. Gasping, he grabbed a rock from the ground and smashed it into the zombie's head. With each desperate blow, he realized the truth. The weakness of these monsters lay in their skulls. The creature finally fell still, But then, from its lifeless body, a dark aura seeped out. The swirling energy moved like smoke and was absorbed into Luen's body. A sudden flood of memories struck his mind. In the visions, he saw the zombie as a human once again. He was standing with a friend on a beach, laughing and chatting. Then the scene shifted. He was at Defense Corps, Base Number X, undergoing strict training under the watchful eyes of a hard-edged sergeant. He remembered being called by his name, YH. The memories grew harsher, filled with sweat, pain, and shouting as the soldiers trained mercilessly. Finally, the last memory appeared, the base under siege, overrun by evolved monsters. Screams, blood, and despair consumed everything. Loon staggered back to himself, trembling in disbelief. He had inherited the zombie's memories. And not just that, he felt the strength within him grow. But before he could process what had happened, another zombie attacked from behind. Reacting instinctively, Loon swung his arm with all his might. His strike was so powerful that the creature's head separated from its body in a single blow. A strange energy surged inside him. A faint blue aura radiated from his body, while sparks of yellow lightning flickered in his eyes. Loon looked at his trembling hands, speechless. He had not only absorbed memories, he had also absorbed power. It felt like he had gained a lifetime of experience just by finishing off a single zombie. And yet, deep down, a terrifying thought lingered. Even though it was just a dream, it felt far too real. He felt that everything happening around him, everything he was seeing with his own eyes, was real and just some fleeting vision. The strange numbers that had appeared in his dream seemed to echo in his memory, like whispers engraved into his mind. With that thought, he decided to investigate further. Maybe the mysterious base that appeared in his dream truly existed. Perhaps it had something to do with all of this. A while later, he absorbed another zombie. But unlike before, this one was just an ordinary creature, weak, slow, and lacking any special power. After devouring it, he realized he didn't gain any new abilities. It was a disappointment, a reminder that not every encounter would grant him something useful. Then, without warning, the ground beneath his feet trembled violently. The entire world he stood in began to shake and crumble. His eyes shot open. He woke up back to reality. The reason for his abrupt awakening was the scream of his younger sister, Liu King. Her voice cut sharply through his ears, dragging him out of the dream world. "Brother, come and eat already. How long are you going to stay lazy like that?" she shouted from outside. Still dazed, Luong opened the door. His sister stood there, arms crossed, but her expression shifted the moment she noticed something unusual. His entire body was drenched in sweat. "Don't tell me you worked out while sleeping," she said suspiciously, raising an eyebrow. Luong scratched the back of his neck awkwardly, forcing out a small laugh. "I just took a nap." Her eyes narrowed, scanning him carefully. That's when she noticed something else, his abs toned and muscular. Her eyes widened slightly before she quickly turned away. "Anyway, hurry up and get ready. Don't make our parents wait too long," she muttered, almost as if she didn't want to admit what she saw. As she walked away, a thought flickered in her mind. Since when did my brother become muscular? She assumed it must have been from secret workouts, something he never told her about. Luang, meanwhile, felt a pang of memory. When they were younger, Liu King was close to him, always by his side. But everything changed once they both started school. As soon as her natural genius was recognized, her incredible health, status, and outstanding combat ability, her attitude toward him became distant. Cold Liu King was considered a prodigy, with her health status above the norm and her combat power ranked higher than most of her peers. She could receive an offer from a prestigious martial arts university at any time. She was admired, respected, and destined for greatness. And then there was Luong, the useless older brother. His health status was so low that everyone, even his own family, had lost hope in him. But now, everything felt different. When he looked into the mirror, his reflection almost shocked him. His once ordinary body had transformed muscular, brimming with raw energy. More than that, he carried within him all the memories he had stolen from zombies in his dreams. Their combat techniques, Their instincts, they were his now. I can't believe it. I actually brought something from the dream into reality. He walked to the dining table and immediately began eating. His appetite had grown enormously. The moment he finished one bowl of food, he asked for another, stunning his entire family. Their eyes widened. His father blinked in disbelief. His mother froze, spoon in hand. Even Liu King stared at him, speechless. Realizing their reaction, Lu Wang coughed and tried to take back his words. But his father stopped him. "You won't go hungry in this house," his father said firmly. He took Lu Wang's empty bowl and handed it to his wife. "Refill it." Then, his father patted him on the shoulder with a proud smile. "It's normal for teenagers to eat more at this age. Don't worry. Tomorrow, I'll get you some tonics and nourishing ingredients." Liu King rolled her eyes, clearly unconvinced. "Don't waste good medicine on him, father. You know his health status is barely above useless." "He'll never enough," his father interrupted sharply. "Don't underestimate your brother." "Well," his father and sister argued, Lu Wang's thoughts drifted elsewhere. "If my body really changed, then I need to confirm it. I should go to the dojo and test my health status for myself." A few hours later, Lu Wang stood before Hanwen Dojo, the master of this dojo was none other than Nangguan, ranked 4th among martial artists, a man considered a legend. In the world of martial arts, ranks determined everything. A rank 1 martial artist, like Kachai, had a health status of 120, with combat power of 200. Rank 2, like Linlin, had a health status of 200, and combat power of 400. Rank 3, like Zion, reached 350 in health status and 700 in combat power. And then, at the peak, stood rank 4 like Nangguan, whose health status exceeded 600 and combat power reached 1,200. Such people weren't just martial artists anymore. Society regarded them as superhuman. Luang stared at the poster near the entrance. His eyes narrowed. At the high tuition fee, only wealthy families could afford to send their children here. If Liu King chose to enroll, his parents would surely support her without hesitation. But him, he wasn't interested. He had his own way of growing stronger, absorbing the experience of zombies in his dreams. As he lingered at the entrance, a staff member approached with a polite smile. "Would you like to register for a martial arts enrichment class?" the staff asked. Luang shook his head gently. "No, I just came to check my health status and combat power." The staff member glanced at him, quickly judging from his plain appearance that he wasn't from a wealthy family. Even so, she kept her tone polite. "The assessment room is just ahead." "Do you need assistance?" Lu Wang declined. "No, thank you. I know how the machine works." Inside the assessment room, he placed his right hand on top of the glowing orb. In mere seconds, the result appeared on the screen. His health status, 150. Lu Wang's heart raced. His eyes widened. Just a single hour of sleep had pushed his health status up by 50 points. He was now closing in on his sister's level. Next, he decided to test his combat ability. He raised his right palm toward a test subject. A faint blue aura began to flicker and spread across his body. Closing his eyes, he focused on the memories of the 2 zombies carved into his mind. Their movements, their attacks, their instincts. He stepped forward and unleashed a powerful blow. The entire test subject shook violently. When the result came in, his combat power had reached 300. Luang stood frozen in disbelief. In just one night, he had improved to a level that once seemed impossible. If this continues, if I can sleep for 10 hours, or even 20, I'll be reborn. I'll become the strongest martial artist in the world. That night, back in his room, his eyes were bloodshot with veins bulging. Frustration gnawed at him because now, when he actually wanted to sleep, he couldn't. No matter how much he tried, sleep refused to come. With a sigh, he turned on the lights and decided to train. Instead, he needed to stabilize his health status. He began practicing the techniques he remembered, but soon realized he was making small mistakes in his stances. Then, suddenly, the memory of a zombie appeared in his mind. Correcting him, his movements adjusted instinctively, becoming sharper, more precise. He kept training, sweat dripping down his face, as the memories of the zombies guided every single move.